Shout out to Lisa Maria and Cara Bullock for subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for your chance to be randomly picked in future videos for a shout out. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am interviewing the lovely Delizia from Delizia Naturally. How you going, Delizia?
I'm well, thanks, George. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. Thanks again for agreeing to do a chat with me.
Thank you, George. You're the instigator of doing all this. It's amazing.
Thank you. And the reason why I created the Soap Makers Lounge was for soap makers to come together and have a chat about their soap making journey and hopefully inspire others and give others some insight, whether they're thinking about starting a business or moving from a hobby phase into a business. And I think like every little bit of information helps.
Yeah.
Because especially like when we were even when I started out, I didn't have access to a lot of information, so I thought maybe this is like a great way to have chats with other soap makers and for them to come together and hopefully help others in the process.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Thank you. And like I say, every day is a school day. I'm always learning.
Very true. And so I guess my first question would be, when did you start making soap? What made you start making soap actually originally?
So I started making soap. Probably the catalyst for me was when COVID hit.
Right.
But before that, I was trying to make soap just very basically based on my grandmothers who came from small communities in the mountains in Italy.
Okay, wow.
And they immigrated to Australia in the 50s.
Yeah.
And so they, like a lot of immigrants, brought their traditions with them and the way in which they live and use food and use materials, they brought that legacy. So I remember watching my grandmothers make soap from leftover pig fat, so the lard.
Oh, wow, okay. Right.
Yeah, and my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, used to make the soap and mix it with used cooking oil.
Yeah.
So she used to clean it and then make the soap in the laundry, and that used to be laundry soap.
Yeah.
But my mum tells me that in Italy, in the remote community they lived in,
right,
they used to use that soap also as bath soap for themselves because that's what they did.
Yeah.
So then that tradition, when they came to Australia, that the soap making tradition really passed away with them. The other traditions of making salami and making the passata sauce for pasta, that stayed. And my parents and aunties still do that, but the soap has kind of faded away. So I wanted to resurrect that and then use their knowledge, but also new scientific ways of making soap and adding essential oils and things like, and botanicals and things like that.
Yeah.
So, that's how I started. So a mixture between circumstance in Australia and then also that legacy of my ancestors. So,
right. Well, excellent. So it's like a zero waste initiative, kind of like it's not letting anything go to waste. Yeah.
100%. So what I do is, that's right. So I get the leftover fat. In fact, I don't use lard. I use grass-fed beef fat and grass-fed lamb fat from a local farm in New South Wales. And I get it from them. I source it from them, one, because it's grass-fed,
right,
so it's of higher quality, but secondly, because normally they would compost it and basically throw it away.
Right.
And I believe in using nose to tail. So the whole animal, respect the animal, and use all of it, because like my auntie told me once, an animal gave up its life for you, so you should respect it and use it all. So there's that component where I source the fat that would be composted, and I triple render it, which is quite laborious. So when I get it, I melt it down, I render it first, and I separate those leftover bits of mince with the fat,
Right.
And then once I've got that fat, then I do it 3 more times. So I triple render it so it's extremely clean and pure.
Yeah.
And then the repurposed cooking oil, I get that from my local cafes and restaurants here in Queanbeyan, New South Wales, and they give it to me because they have to pay to dispose of it otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah, but then that's the filtering process as well. So I filter that 4 to 5 times, and then I put plain flour. So you cover the top with plain flour, and the flour will filter all the impurities out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then with that with that oil, then I make a separate type of soap. So I don't do what my grandparents did and combine them. I keep them separate because you understand more of the technical aspects of soap more than me, but because the chemical properties are different for the sunflower oil that I'm using or the tallow fat that I'm using, I like to keep them separate. I mean, I might experiment as I go on the track and combine them, but at this point, because I have to clean that oil so much, I like to keep it separate. And the other thing I do with that repurposed cooking oil is I make it a low super fat because I don't want any of that to come through. Even though it's purified, I still want to be just extra cautious. So,
Fair enough. Interesting. Yeah, because that was like one of the reasons why I really wanted to have a chat with you, because I haven't really talked to anybody that does what you do, and it's quite rare these days. Like in modern times, it's quite rare for people to do that because it's a very old-fashioned way of making soap. And it is like, even though like I keep my range, vegan or vegetarian, I can still appreciate like other businesses, that have their own kind of, values and avenue that they stick to. I just was so fascinated with because I remember growing up as well. I don't know, you know that brand Sun Soap? How it's tallow? Yeah, and it's made from, I think, beef tallow, and everyone used to use it to wash their dishes. Like, it was just like a common thing, like in the 80s and the 70s, like every kind of years. But now it's so rare, like you don't see it anymore. Like it's like a lost art, because it is really minimizing waste. It is minimizing waste. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, and that's really my ethos is the waste minimization. Like I can appreciate, similar to you, George, I can appreciate people that make soap in different ways.
Yeah.
And then I guess kind of what you do is, for me anyway, I look at the way that I want to make soap and I say, oh, that's part of my business. That's my ethos. That's the way that I do it. I can still appreciate others.
Yeah.
But that's the way that I like to do it, with the leftover fat and the repurposed cooking oil. There is some soap that I make from scratch, which is the coconut soap.
Yes, yeah.
And that's because I can source the coconut oil from like 2 kilometres away from where I live, and they set up a macro economy in the Solomon Islands, and it's organic and fair trade.
Excellent.
Yeah, but that's a separate kind of thing. But really, it's the tallow and the cooking oil. And you're right, it is a bit of a lost art. And the other thing is, I've done some research into repurposed cooking oil, and tons of it goes into landfill, or unfortunately gets poured down the drain, which is really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of thought, well, this oil, and to that extent it's carbon neutral because I'm getting it's already produced, and then I'm getting it and make it into soap.
Yes.
The other thing is I sell it back to those cafes that give me the oil, and then they sell it to their customers. So it's like circular economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just starting out, so hopefully, I'll. But that's what I was going to say. There are actually 2 other companies that I know of worldwide. One's called Frog Soap, and that's in America. And this lady's been doing it for years, and she uses repurposed cooking oil. And there's another lady in Thailand who does it from Bangkok Soap Opera. And then this other lady in America, Frog Soap, I think it stands for From Recycled Oil green. I can't remember what the G stands for.
Yeah.
But I've made contact with them because I want to learn from them as well. So yeah. And sorry, one other thing with the fat.
Yeah.
I made contact with a company called No Bond Beauty, and they're from Sweden.
Yeah.
And they were talking to me about the tallow they use from the Nordic cows.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a conversation actually on WhatsApp or Zoom, I think it was. And they were talking to me about the Nordic properties of tallow. And I was talking about the Australian properties of tallow and how I triple render. And they said they only twice render. And so now they've started triple rendering. So this is a testament to what you're doing. You're creating a global community with soap.
Yeah.
You know, like speaking to America, and that's what it's about. You know?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Of course, absolutely. And like, you know, you can see when you watch other soap makers too. Like that's why I love when I have the time. It's usually on the weekend. I try and keep free from work and stuff. But I would really watch like soap makers that I love watching, like Ellie from Ellie's Every Day, and Ellen Ruth and Soya Shea and Ashley LeBron. Well, she doesn't really do much on YouTube, but she's more on Instagram. But I watch her videos, like that she uploads on Instagram, and it's just really nice to see, like, not that I'm there or any other one else is there to copy them. It's just to see, like how different it is, from what I do. Like maybe I'll try something different like this, and it just inspires you to kind of put your own spin on it, your own personality into it, I guess, So really, it's really great to watch, and even well-established, soap makers and businesses can still learn from people that have just starting out. So it's not a one-way street. It can go very much both ways,
Yeah, 100%. And I think that learning from others is actually really key when you've got your own business. And I remember somebody saying this statement to me a while ago, and I can't remember which context, but he said, there's plenty of money in the world to go around. And I thought, that's so true. It's not about competing with others. It's just about learning and refining and getting different ideas and being inspired, and certain things kind of prompt a response in me, and I think, actually, I should try that, or I'll tweak it, or do you know what I mean? And that's good to do. What I really appreciated with this company in Sweden, No Bond Beauty, is that they only use materials they can source in their country. So they won't, for example, they won't use an essential oil that they have to import. And I mean, that's their ethos. And I'm like, well, that's, that's cool. That's how they want to do it. Where I import essential oils, like lavender oil is a French lavender oil.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the same as me too. Like I try and use as much of what I put into my soap recipes that are Australian. So most of my bars are probably, I'd say, anywhere between 50 and 80% Australian, like ingredients that were made here. And like I've switched to Australian. I was actually using organic Spanish extra virgin olive oil in my recipes, but I switched to Australian cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, even though it's not organic. But I found that the Australian olive oil, of course I want to support local, but I found the quality to be far superior. It was just, the Australian olive oil is amazing. It's just unbelievably good. Like, it's just, it's so good. And I noticed when switching over, they're both great, don't get me wrong. Like, they're both great. But I found the Australian one, and I didn't change anything else in my recipes, just olive oil. It would make my skin feel more conditioned after the shower. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It's just unbelievable. The properties in Australian olive oil are really outstanding. Really outstanding.
Yeah. That's made me think of something, which is, I wonder how much our native ingredients, because we live on this soil and we
Yeah.
have the water from soil,
Yeah.
how much it actually impacts us without us knowing.
Of course it does. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I use tea tree oil, that's from Australia, is that
Yeah.
going to have an effect on me different from somebody that is abroad that might
Yes.
use tea? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love tea tree as well. And lemon myrtle. I love lemon
Oh,
myrtle. See, we've got beautiful native essential oils here. We've got tea tree, lemon myrtle. We've got nerolina. Have you ever smelled nerolina?
no.
Oh my gosh, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, like I get mine from Australian Wholesale Essential Oils, nerolina.
Yeah.
And it smells it's like a rose. It's like
floral.
undertones. Yeah, it's floral, and it smells a little bit like orange, like at the same time. And it's got like a really subtle earth base to it. It's just it's just one of those things you have to smell. Yeah, you really have to use it. And Rosalina is another one. Have you smelled Rosalina?
Right, I have to. Yeah, see, I don't know these. I'm going to have to try them.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Because lemon myrtle is my favourite smell in the whole wide world. But I'm going to try nerolina.
I love it. Yeah, they're just we've got amazing. We're good at and Australian sweet orange essential oil. A lot of it in Australia is actually Australian. Right?
Yes, that's true.
And the tenfold essential oil usually and the fivefold, most of them. I mean, sometimes they have to import depending on demand, but a lot of them are Australian. And when you smell it compared to like an imported, you can smell the difference. They don't smell the same. They're still beautiful. They're nice and sweet. But I find the Australian essential oil, the orange, it smells more like sugar. It's more of a sugary smell. It's beautiful.
I have to ask you, what does it mean, tenfold orange oil? What does that mean?
Okay, so fivefold and tenfold, what they do is when they just cold press the oil like any other oil that they happen to cold press, it's a percentage because it ranges between seasons, but 60 to 80% of the essential oil, orange essential oil, is D-limonene, right? So you'll see D-limonene is a, what's that word? Like it's a degreaser, and it's a really strong cleaning chemical. And you'll see it like a lot of suppliers sell it separate, right? So five-folding and ten-folding it is they filter out all the D-limonene, right? So you get a stronger smell, and it actually has a much higher flash point because D-limonene, if you leave D-limonene open like to room temperature, it'll evaporate. You know, that's why when you use orange essential oil in soap, it doesn't last, it doesn't stick. You know, but when you use fivefold and tenfold, it's got all those volatile components filtered out, so you're left with a more concentrated orange smell and scent. You know, so that's why, like in soap, you can smell the orange, like it's really there. You can smell orange. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's cool.
It is very cool, and we've got the best tenfold in Australia. Like it's fivefold and tenfold.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Yeah, you definitely should. You should get it. It's really good. It's really, really good.
You should get a commission from that company.
Well, you know, maybe in future, like, you never know. But yeah, we're really lucky. We've got beautiful essential oils in Australia, and we've got really nice olive oil in Australia as well. We've got heaps of olive groves, whether they're conventional or organic. We've got beautiful olive oil here. And clays as well. We've got amazing clays. With Australian clay, one of the best. Yeah, it's just great. Like, we've got a lot of good stuff here.
100%.
Yeah. And yeah, so like it's going back, we went off topic a bit. So obviously that's what inspired you, like, you know, your ancestry and like your culture and where you come from. What kind of made you start selling your products? What pushed you into selling? Because we make, you know, for personal use, and then what was the driving factor for you to actually get it out there and get your name out there?
So there was a couple of things. So when I started making it, like a lot of people that start in making soap and other bath products. I just did it as a hobby, and because I wanted to bring that tradition back into the family of making soap. And then my family and friends, and I come from a large Italian immigrant family, a lot of my family and friends were saying, you should sell it, because I just give it away. I'm like, no, you should sell it. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. Anyway, so, and like a lot of people that start in soap, it's addictive. You make it, and like for me, the best part is cutting. I love the cutting. The pouring is good, but then when you take it out of the mold and then you start cutting, it's like, yeah, I made that. So there was that where people were saying you should sell it. I was working in a tier 1 consulting firm,
Right.
And I wasn't really enjoying it. And my kind of own personal story there is that I didn't think I was being valued for my skill. So I thought, well, is this the best place for me? And so then I thought about, well, I could do this full time. I like it so much. Sure, I'm a small business. It's not that profitable yet, but eventually I'll get there because I like it so much.
Yeah.
And so then I basically left my corporate job and thought, well, I'm going to make soap, and cosmetics, because I also make balm, like tallow balm and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
And moisturisers and that stuff from scratch for people that have got skin issues.
Yeah.
But then when I started making it, and I don't know if, for me, I don't know if this is the same for everybody else, but coming from a corporate job where you consult companies and government and you're a consultant, moving to making soap, you're doing something that's very tactile and earthy, and you actually produce something.
Yeah.
And you can kind of go, I made that. It's very simple and grounding and, kind of organic in the true sense of the word, that I made this from scratch and my hands made it, and I can sell this as a product. So, a few things, I guess.
And I think we can all relate to that as well. It's you can just let loose, like it's just your creative side comes out. You're not having to answer to anybody. You're not having to ask permission. You're not having to do a lot of these things that you would have, normally had to do, especially in like corporate roles, And I just find that you can kind of just spread your wings and whatever you feel like doing, you just do, and there's no restrictions.
That's right. You think I'm going to put this on top of that soap, or that might not work, but I'll try it. And the freedom to make your own decisions. And if there's anybody listening that's thinking of going into it, or any small business really, it is, you just have kind of full range to think how you want to think, and there's nobody going, no, you can't do that, or that's not a good idea, or you actually get to express yourself through it, which is really important.
It is very important. And this is something very personal to me, so I'll share it because I feel like no one shares this side of starting a business and stuff, and I don't know, maybe you will agree with me, maybe it's like a topic like, you don't really talk about, but I just feel like it's something that should be mentioned. Did you find when starting your own business that you realised who your friends were?
Classic.
Like really, like I'm being 100% serious. Did you find, like, did you realise that certain people you thought like were your friends and had your back aren't really your friends?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm still very new.
Right.
But I observed some different things. But that's interesting. Like, how did that manifest for you? Did people like stop calling you, or did?
No, like it would. I just seen a change in behavior towards me when I started to kind of be happy and and I was like, and I'm open to sharing. Like before I started Dawn Organics, I was not in a very good place mentally, and I was unhappy for quite a while. I would say a good 5 years, and I was not that I'm not really a sharer, so this is taking a lot of courage for me to actually come out and talk about it. But I don't know, your energy just got me into the mood, since you start new business owner, and maybe like down the track you will face that, like you will come across that issue, and you're like, oh wow, I remember when George mentioned it, like he was so spot on, but yeah, like their behaviour changed towards me. I had a friend which I no longer chat to anymore. We were friends for a while, and we kind of started our own businesses at the same time. And I kind of helped her set up, like her eBay and getting her products out there, even before I did that for myself, right? And she was so on board with me selling soap, and she was great. And then all of a sudden when she found out I was making candles, because she makes candles, right, her attitude towards me changed, and she became very like critical, and she would kind of put me down, and she would say that your essential oils won't work in candles, you shouldn't. Or if I was having a little bit of anxiety, like I would go to her thinking she's my friend, and I'd say, oh, I'm really having anxiety, like, with starting a business and stuff. And then she would be like, well, you shouldn't really be starting the business if you have that much anxiety then. I mean? Like she was very, and like same sort of thing with other friends of mine too. Like, I remember this once I was out to dinner with a group of friends, and we were, joking, bantering between friends, and, I made a comment like, you should pay for dinner tonight, like as a joke, like, and then he full came at me, saying that I'm the one, like, and it wasn't even then, it was later. It was actually, wasn't to my face, it was in text messages and stuff, right? And like, you're the one that should pay, you're the one that's, started a business and you're rolling in cash pretty much. And it's like, what? Like, I'm like, have you ever started a business? You're probably the most broke person when you start. I'm like, really? Is that what, like, the mindset of people? Like, so, and when I went to give him a business card one day, I had two business cards because one of my business cards I was doing Reiki, right, and the other business obviously Dawn Organics, because I started them both at the same time, but I was more wanting to go down the Dawn Organics route. And when I went to hand out business cards, he was like, oh, I don't want that one, like my Dawn Organics card, yeah.
Wow.
And then he was like, I'll take this one. It's like, okay, well, okay, like,
That's
like,
interesting.
yeah, it's just like, I got that, but I never got that treatment before I started. I only got that treatment after I started, which I found very unusual. Like, I don't know why. I really don't know why. Yeah.
That's really interesting because that's actually provoked some thought in me about some things a little bit similar to what you've explained, but in the sense of people have this idea when you start a small business, especially if you've got a website and you've got an Instagram account or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like anything, perception is reality. They think because you have this web presence that you're a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's I'm so far from being a millionaire. I'm further away from being a millionaire than I was when I was in my corporate job.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you start, and for business owners out there, you got to be prepared to put your own money into your business and work hard and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this perception that I was making this money, and I haven't been doing it long.
Yeah.
And I had people out of the woodwork contact me, and I'm like, why are they do they think I'm rich?
Yeah.
Which is like the reverse of kind of what happened to you, where people, they had this thought that, oh, I'm rolling in money because I've started my own business. No, it's actually the polar opposite.
Exactly.
Until,
that's right.
Yeah. And the other thing that I had is people telling me, friends and family, of what I should do.
Yes.
You should do this, you should do this. I'm thinking, I don't know if you've experienced that or other viewers.
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah, I know that. Or, yes, that's in the pipes. I just haven't got to it. But have you thought of this? Yes, I have. Just, let me get there. Unless you want to come on and work for me, volunteer, then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's from people that don't have any experience in running a product business. Those ideas come. Yeah. And to be honest, sometimes they're valid, but sometimes they're annoying.
I know. Totally. Yeah.
But coming back to like that idea of friends not being genuine.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because it really, it's sad overall, but it indicates where they're at, whether they're jealous or they're not secure, or, and that's actually quite sad.
Yeah.
Because their perspective maybe isn't that there is plenty of money in the world to go around.
Exactly.
And that it's
that's right.
And all of that. But and that one of the reasons why I left the corporate sector as well is because I was quite unhappy there. And like I was saying, my value wasn't, I had to depend on other people to see my value, which is not cool. Like that should never be the case.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what made me also think of that when you mentioned the corporate and then when I said like you got the freedom to express yourself however you like in your business. And it also, that's what kind of made me go on a tangent. I know we're going off topic, but it just made me think of all these things. And also the people that said, oh, no, you shouldn't, it's not a good idea. So even though you left the corporate, you still had people there saying, no, don't do this, don't do that. Like I couldn't even tell you when I started my YouTube channel, the amount of people that said I shouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's, Ellie from Ellie's Everyday.
Yeah.
She gave me the best advice today, and I really love her, right? She said to me, you know what, George? She goes, you do whatever feels right for you. You don't let anyone tell you what to do, right?
Good.
And I said, you know what, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I have a couple of private label negotiations going on at the moment. But I think I'm going to turn them down because, it's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to make products for other people. Like, as much as I love making products, I just don't really want to do that. It doesn't sit right for me, Yeah. And I kind of want to express myself through my products and make my own connections, So, I'm going through that phase at the moment. Like, I'm especially with COVID as well, it just makes you reevaluate everything. It just makes you reevaluate, everything. And another thing too, like I found, was half my friends aren't my friends anymore. Since starting Dawn Organics, my friend circle is half. And not because I did anything, not because it's just I found that their behaviour changed and they weren't really wishing me well and they didn't have my best interests at heart. So it's just interesting. I just thought I'll touch base on that because I find with everyone and all the soap makers, all the videos I've done on, we've done on Soap Makers Lounge, that hasn't really come up. And I thought it's really important for it to come up. And there's other people I know that started a business and not in soap making, anything what I'm doing, but they've experienced the same thing. So that's why I was asking you, have you experienced it? And you might experience it later. Everyone goes through things at different times. So I thought maybe I'd share it as well for viewers and for you in case you
thank you.
Come across that.
It's important because I think it can actually discourage and derail people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like
yes.
doing like Ellie's advice.
Yeah.
She's 100% right.
Yeah.
If you don't feel a peace about something, don't do it. But if you feel a peace about it, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. God, we should name this video counselling session. Delizia in this case is the counsellor because she's listening to me.
No way.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for that case, right? And if anyone ever comes to you, whether friends, family, or whoever it is, or whatever, and they tell you to do something or not do something, just follow what you feel inside. If it feels like, no, if it sits right with me, I want to do it, just do it.
That's it. Exactly right.
Yeah.
People, they're well-intentioned.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, sometimes what they say, no, that's annoying. No, you don't know.
Yes. So look, yeah, by all means, sometimes it is well-intentioned, but I guess you haven't come across the not well-intentioned yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Because you said
there are
it's derailed.
out there, but
yeah, like you said before, it can easily derail you. Like because I have a strong personality. You obviously have a strong personality, so you wouldn't allow someone to dictate what you do, right? But some other people might not be that strong, right? So they could have a fantastic business idea and fantastic business sense, but then they'll have people inputting, and then it will derail them, and it might not turn out the way they want it to because they listen to everybody. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's another thing too. Like you stick to what's true, what you feel. Like Ellie said today, if it's right, if it feels right for you, that's it.
100%. And you're right. That's important for your viewers to know that, because people could stop or not do a business because they get too many negative voices. That's right. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool. No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah, so, all right, moving on. Right, so with getting your products out there, particularly because it is still a lost art, as we were covering before, do you feel like there were challenges in getting your products out there and for consumers to kind of start buying your products? Like, were they a bit skeptical or a bit judgmental? That sort of stuff, yeah? Like, what are the issues and the challenges you faced in regards to that?
So I had a couple of things. So I don't have anything against the vegan movement.
Right.
What I found, though, is that people, when they were looking at the tallow soap, they didn't want to get it because they knew it was from an animal.
Right.
And so for me, I would partly educating people, saying this is a waste product that, okay, if people didn't eat meat at all, it wouldn't exist, but it does.
Yes.
So I want to use that and respect the animal, like my, family has taught me, and use the tallow in the soap. But the other benefit that people didn't realise, and this is, and a lot of soap makers have to do this educating process, is that it is so good for your skin. The sebum in the tallow is close to human skin, so it's so good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that aspect that I'm trying to educate people about the tallow soap, and that it's gentle enough for babies and all of that.
Yeah.
The other part that I kind of had to educate people is the repurposed cooking oil. So many people are like, no, I won't use it. I'm like, okay, tell me why you wouldn't use it. Is it because you don't know how it's cleaned, or you don't think it's safe? So what I did is I went out, I think it was on Facebook, on a community page, and I asked people if they would be willing for me to send them a free sample of the soap for them to trial it.
And
it's interesting, I had a couple of people saying, attack me for that. And I said, look, I'm not pushing it. I'm just asking if you'd like it, I'd be happy to send you some free of charge for you to try. And I had a few different people around Australia ask, in particular, I had a lady in Queensland who had recovered from cancer and she couldn't use anything. And she said that soap, the repurposed cooking oil soap, was the best for her skin. And I was like, wow, that was a surprise to me as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting that that's been a hurdle for me to educate people. Because in Australia, not a lot of people, to my knowledge, I don't know anyone else that's doing the soap out of repurposed cooking oil.
Yeah, I don't think so. I haven't come across it. Yeah, I'm sure there might be, but so far I just haven't come across it.
And I hope this brings up people, actually. So the tallow, there's a few, which is cool and great, but the repurposed cooking oil, that's something that it's a bit of a hurdle for me to get over and educate people. And selling it back to the cafes has been one way of educating people. I also did a workshop at one of the universities here in Canberra about how to make soap from repurposed cooking oil so that people in their homes, especially with COVID, say they've got oil they've used for cooking and they've filtered and cleaned it and then they can make it into soap. So I showed them how they can do that in their own homes. So, and, using even things like a milk carton as the mould,
There's lots
by moulds and, so that's been a bit of an education process and a bit of a challenge to get people over that and not to be afraid.
I have to say, everyone that can see, this one's lavender, and I love lavender. This one, and I see what you mean, because I remember you mentioning the other day that for some reason essential oils, you don't know why, sticks better in soaps. And I have to say, considering you're not using a base essential oil with it, just lavender essential oil, that it's actually quite pungent. It's actually, you can really smell the lavender. Yeah, you can really smell the lavender. It's really nice. Really, really. I'm going to be using this one.
That's actually one of my best sellers, the lavender and oat bar.
It's beautiful.
But that's an education for me with the cedarwood atlas and the base oils to anchor the fragrance. Yeah. I've been telling everybody that. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. George, no, that's what I've got to do. So, but the tallow, I don't know why it stays a bit more. I'm not sure why. There's got to be a reason.
I don't know. I'm sure there is. Personally, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe it just really the way the molecule is. It might just anchor the essential oil down. Maybe because it is considerably hard. So maybe that hardness keeps it in, doesn't evaporate. You know what I mean? So maybe that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. I'm just trying to think.
But I am going to with Atlas because I want it to be even better, the smell.
It will be. Like, even just like that. Like, oh, wow. Like, it's just really. And the tea tree as well. Because I find, and I love tea tree, I find tea tree flashes off really easily in cold process soap.
Oh.
Yeah, if you don't anchor it down, it flashes off after like 30 or so days, 40 days. It's really mild or you can't smell it, like I find. And this one is really, really strong. Like, and you haven't anchored it down either, like with a base cedar wood. And wow, really, really nice. Well,
thank you.
Mum said she wants to use that, Mum said. She doesn't like tea tree, which is fine because I love tea tree. So I will use the tea tree one, and I will let you know how it goes. I've never used tallow before ever, so this would be a first for me. Mum has obviously, but I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. So
your mum's used it. That's so cool.
Yeah, because back home they did use it when they were growing up. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So, but for me, it's going to be a first time, so I'm excited.
So that's really awesome. I remember I did a pop-up here locally in my hometown, and I had a lady come and tell me that her grandmother, who lived in Adelaide, in a nursing home she used to use tallow soap and she hadn't used it for ages. And I was like, I'm going to send her 2 bars as a gift. And so I just packaged it up and sent it to the nursing home because I don't have my grandparents anymore, but it kind of helped me connect a bit. I was like, well, I can connect to her grandmother through that. So that's why I think it's important for our legacy and ancestry to kind of come through as well, because we can connect. It's interesting because you can connect to that hundreds of years ago in the modern day in the country that your ancestors immigrated to. I think it's kind of a lovely thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really nice. I like that. Yeah, it is. I'm a big believer in that. Like, that's just, that's really nice. that's nice, yeah. And I have to say, like, going back on that comment, where, like, the challenges with people, you like using tallow and, having those ideas, no, I don't want it, or, I don't want repurposed cooking oil, I don't want it. I have to say, I was like that.
Yep.
Up until I came across your page, and then I started reading, like, with the Instagram posts, and then I read, and you're like, well, it's going to be thrown out anyway, and it's going to be wasted. And then it changed my thinking of it as well. I was like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Oh,
it's actually like I didn't realise that was what's happening behind the scenes, because it's not something I looked into or researched or any of that stuff. But yeah, I'm open-minded now. You've opened me up.
Oh, thanks, George.
And I will try that, so I will let you know.
In fact, the farmer, when I first got the farmer from the regenerative farm in Maringo, New South Wales, he gave me 20 kilos for free.
Wow.
And he said, this is being thrown out. And I was like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. That's great. But it's so great. Like, it's such an amazing initiative. It's really, really good. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, no, I was really looking forward to this chat, actually, because I really wanted to pick your brain a little.
Cool.
And also, I do want to ask also, like, obviously you've been, making, close to 2 years now, and, or has it been longer than 2 years? About 2 years?
No, shorter.
Oh, shorter. Okay. Oh, well, okay. Well, from when you first started till now, have you noticed a difference in your soaps?
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
Yeah.
I think because as you increase with knowledge and just exposure and experience and listening to people like yourself and looking at Ellie's page and all of that, you kind of go, oh, okay, I could do this better, or that's that's probably not as good to do. So you just kind of refine your method and refine your craft.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've had some big like accidents with soap. And because I'm quite, I don't want to be wasteful. If I have a disaster soap, then I'll still use it like in the laundry or something. Yeah. Like I had the tallow overheated and I heard this hissing sound on the kitchen table. And I'm like, what's that? And then I'm like, oh no, because the tallow was too warm.
Okay.
And the caustic soda was too warm, and then it was just like a little volcano. And I'm like, all of the mold. And so I had to get like a plastic container and quickly run to where the soap is and then just tip it all out into this big container.
Yeah.
And try to pat it down and go, oh my gosh. And then it actually, because it became like a hot process soap with orange, was actually really good. But I couldn't really sell it because it was all chunky and, people like to be more nice. And
but you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I've had some shockers. And you know what? I probably will have ones in the past. But soap making, and I know that you will appreciate, is actually quite technical. It's chemistry, it's scientific, and when all the elements are perfect, then you make a good batch. But what's interesting is my grandparents, they just did it by eye, or they used the tongue, the zing method. Just in a way rough, but it always came out because their method was less scientific but more handed down that kind of knowledge of knowing what it should look like and taste like and feel like.
It's what's that? There's a word for it, but I'm trying to think of it. Oh gosh, it might take me a good 5 minutes to think about it. But there's a word, like a saying in a word. I think it's like something you're taught through like your parents and your grandparents or whatever, and it's not something that can be like taught in a book or researching online. It's something that's handed down. Like I forgot what it's called.
Like an instinct. No,
it's kind of like something like that. Like it's just instinctual and experience, and and it just works. Like it just works. Like don't fix what ain't broke is what they say. Like. Another question as well, and I always ask this question, is did you notice the skin benefits of making your own soap? Did you immediately notice the skin benefits?
Yeah, I did, especially because I'm in Queanbeyan, New South Wales, near Canberra.
Right.
The water's very harsh, so I would find that my skin would be dry after a shower all the time. Doesn't matter what I used. But using the tallow soap and the repurposed oil soap, no issue. I hardly have to moisturise.
Wow.
A big difference. The other thing is with my hands, because I'm in a really cold climate here, like it gets to minus, as you know.
Yeah.
So my knuckles in winter used to bleed all the time.
Oh, wow.
My hands were being stripped of all their natural oils by using commercial soap.
Yeah.
Using handmade soap, because the glycerin's intact, a big difference. And if I'm making soap, you probably have this as well, but when you're making it, your hands are in water or they're in this or they're in that.
And gloves.
If I use gloves, if I use a store-bought chemical-laden product to wash my hands, they will dry. Because I use my own soap to wash my hands all the time, they are hardly ever dry. So that's been a big difference. And especially with COVID, having to wash your hands frequently or sanitize.
Yeah.
The homemade soap is much better for your hands.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I use my liquid soap because I make one for cleaning, and I use that to wash some things I have to wash by hand, obviously, and my hands are always in water, like the molds and stuff. I wash by hand, and my hands are always in gloves and water. And I find using my own products, like either bar soap or liquid soap, my hands don't dry out. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, and it cleans very well at the same time. It does a marvelous job at keeping everything clean.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, it is massive difference. So the next question, obviously, I wanted to ask was, where do you sell your products? I think you mentioned before you sell at the cafes. You get the repurposed cooking oil from, and you have a website.
Yep.
Where else? Like what products? How do you get them out there?
So I have a website. I do online sales. I also, like you said, in cafes and restaurants. I also supply a co-op in Canberra at the university.
Okay.
And also the butcher, or the farmer, I should say, that sells me the fat.
Yeah.
I sell the soap to him, and he puts it or sells it to his customers when they order meat.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's almost like I've got a nose to tail box, which has got the meat and then soap made from the leftover fat from that animal.
Yeah.
So he sells the most soap for me, in fact.
Wow, excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah. That is so interesting. That is really great.
Yeah. Interesting. And I just had an idea, because I know that you use olive oil in a lot of your soaps. It's also worthwhile contacting those olive oil companies and seeing if they want to on-sell your soap when they sell oil. Because that's
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah. Because I source mine. I've just recently changed olive oils. I like to change up every now and then to try different ones. But I'm really I've only changed in the last 6 to 8 weeks. I've changed. I'm getting mine now from Western Australia. And they've got some olive groves there, and I think they're Italian actually. Yeah, they're Italian. I think the surname is Di Conzo, I think.
Oh, that's a good, strong Italian name. Yeah.
And they've got I think they've got farms as well, and they also sell that particular oil through their business. They've got like a wholesale type oil business, and that's where I've been getting it from. And it's just, their oil is beautiful. And I think, you're right. I should probably say, hey, like I use olive oil, like.
Yeah. So the way that started is I actually gave the farmer a sample of the soap that I made from his fat. And he said to me, oh, my parents used to make the soap, but it had that real strong animal smell. And I said, well, how many times did they render it? And I think they only rendered it once, meaning they separated those little bits of mince from the fat.
Yeah.
And then they made soap, where I do that, and then 3 more times I render it.
Yeah.
So
it's clean.
It's really, really clean. But the one of the soaps that I sell is no fragrance, and I actually sell a lot of it.
Yeah, it's popular. It would be popular. Yeah,
which is interesting. But so when I gave him the sample, then we kind of had a discussion. He said, look, I'd like to sell your soap. And I said, that's awesome. I'll sell it to you wholesale.
Yeah.
And then he just put it in and it's on his website as well. They're called Box Gum Grazing, and they're in New South Wales. So there's those opportunities for circular economies that I would like to tap more into.
That's great. Excellent.
But it just kind of getting there. Yeah.
And everyone that's watching, of course, be sure to I'll put the description, information and description below. But, these beautiful soaps that I was sent, which I am looking forward to trying. If you can see them.
Thanks, George.
And, also, Delizia sent me, which is great. I've never used this before. Like, this is going to be, a soap page to wash your dishes with. So that'll be great. I've never used that. So that'll be a first time for me. Oh, yeah, demonstration. There we go.
Yeah, you showed it. Because I think Ellie showed that somebody sent her one from New Zealand.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's great.
Mine are quite large, and they don't have the feet, but they're quite large, so you can put a whole bar in there or cut off a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Seems all right. Yeah, excellent. And also, it's so bad. Like, even though I'm a soap maker, I've never used a soap saver bag. I've never used a soap saver bag. So this will be a first time for me using a soap saver bag. And I found this really cute too. She's got her own little label on it. Her logo, Delizia Naturally. I think that's like really, really cool. So definitely head on over, and of course the handwritten notes, saying I hope you enjoy the products. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And again, be sure to.
Thank you, George. It's the least that I can do for you setting up this phone call and doing this interview, because that's like time out of your day, and you're a business owner, so time I know is super valuable. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. And also I would love to send you a couple of my bestsellers as well. So that's no problem for me as well. So I'd love for you to experience the aromatherapy difference. Like when
sharing love.
The blending, I should say. The aromatherapy blending difference. Right, so back on track. Once again, we got, sidetracked again. Which is fine. I think it's fine. It's no big deal. I guess, I don't know. I'll still ask the question because I think it's a little different for you in terms of bulk buying power and, minimizing your cost pricing. But I'll still ask because I don't know. I have no experience with tallow and what goes into, soap making business that uses tallow and repurposed cooking oil. What are the other challenges that you kind of face starting out and then now, because it is, going on to 2 years. I know it's not quite 2 years, but you're getting there. And in terms of buying power, for other people that want to start out as well, how were you able to, buy in larger quantities, and how that impacted, your profit margins and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So there's a course called Start and Scale, and I actually am not all the way through it, but it talks about e-commerce and setting up a business, etc. But one of the things that it doesn't really discuss, and it's very different for product-based businesses, when you manufacture in Australia. So for me, I started out small, like a little bit of tallow, 5 kilos, and then melting that, doing that. But then what happened recently is, because, I'm of the ethos that I don't want anything to go to waste. If there's tallow that's going to go to compost, I'm like, no, I'll take it, right? But then the process to actually melt it down is quite laborious, and it takes a lot of time. So I would find that I'd have fat in the fridge or the freezer that I'd have to make into tallow, and I couldn't leave it too long in the fridge especially. So I'm like, well, I've got to convert this. So, there's times where it was 9 o'clock at night and I'm converting the tallow outside on the gas stove, so that then I could store it and put it in the fridge or the freezer fully ready to make into either soap or a moisturiser. That process I still am looking to optimise, because I haven't really optimised it yet. That became a little bit tricky. So now I have all my beef fat and all my lamb fat rendered in the fridge and the freezer in 1 kilo blocks or 2 kilo blocks, ready to go. So that is something that you have to kind of contend with when you're making tallow. You either make it in very small batches, only the fat that you can hold, or you get another fridge and freezer and store it all in there. The benefit of living in a really cold climate in winter is that sometimes outside it's colder than the fridge. So I would render the tallow and then put it in these recycled, the buckets that I'd have. And actually leave it outside. And in the morning, it's solid and really hard and cold, because it's -4. So that's the benefit of, those really people in Sweden from Mobile Beauty, they can just leave it outside because it's so cold.
That's interesting. That's so cool. Yeah, wow. Well, actually, since it's -4, wouldn't olive oil go hard where you are? Or semi-hard?
Yeah, it goes hard. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I think if it's below 2 degrees or something, olive oil goes solid. Yeah,
olive oil does. That's right.
Yeah.
With the tallow, it's kind of tricky managing rendering it. If I didn't render it 3 times, it wouldn't be an issue. But sometimes I have to wait for it to cool and then render again, and wait for it to cool and render for a period of 3 days.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work. I should probably charge more per bar because of that work. But with the repurposed oil, then it's in stages of filtering. So I say, for example, sunflower 1, sunflower 2, 3, 4, 5, sunflower flour, which means I've filtered it 5 times, and then that time I've put flour in it to settle it. Then I can pour it into another bucket and use it. And that takes time, especially if the temperature outside is cool. That oil doesn't want to go through the filters.
Yes.
So, it's worth it in the end, because it's not going to landfill or being composted, but there's just work to clean it.
Yeah. And I think that'll be great for you to kind of also make a video for just a quick one, just to show the stages. I reckon viewers would love to see that on Instagram. They would really love to see the process behind it. I mean, I would watch it.
I'll have a tripod and make sure I don't make mistakes, and then
Right.
Yeah, it's tricky when you're trying to do a video. I know that the lady in America, I had a look at one of her videos, and then she showed the tripod, and it was like a series of books and.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Well, whatever works, you know.
That's what I like. Like, how do I set it up? And
Yeah. So you get creative. Well, in my soap making area, what I actually did, you know, those curtain rod holders.
yes,
they're like that, and they've got a, you know, like that, kind of like that. They go into the wall. You drill it into the wall, and then and then it's got that thing that sticks out where you put the rod on, like there.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I've got drilled into the wall, and then I've got, you know, that extender arm tablet holders.
yes.
Yeah, so I've just clipped that onto the curtain rod, and then that's how my tablet hangs over where I make my soap. Yeah, because it's just what I had lying around, like underneath the house. We've got a storage area. That's what I had. And I thought, oh well, I don't need to go out and buy something. I'll just go and do that.
Take a photo of it, George, and send it to me so I know the setup, so I might replicate that.
Yes, I will. It works. I mean, like,
Oh, yeah.
why not? And because it's lockdown as well, so I couldn't really go anywhere. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to get creative. So I just used what I had.
Very good, very clever.
Oh gosh. So yeah, like out of the bars that you make, what would be your favourite one to make?
My favourite one, probably the oat and lavender out of the tallow.
Oh yeah.
Then out of the repurposed cooking oil, I've started making one called Grunt Work, and that's my favourite. It's like a black bar with orange and tea tree.
Okay.
And it's actually, and I can tell you this because I don't mind, they've stopped making in Australia that soap called Solvol, that grey bar. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Yeah, a lot of tradies used it.
Right.
But it has pumice. To replace the pumice, I put tea tree botanicals, which interestingly difficult to get in Australia, given that we have native tea tree. To get the leaves, very difficult.
Okay. Wow.
Anyway, so that's probably my favourite. It's got tea tree, orange zest, and activated charcoal, and it's a black bar, but it's
very nice.
Yet salt.
Yeah. Wow. Excellent. Yeah. I use coffee grinds from my local cafe. He gives them to me when he's, and I use it to make soap for him, and I put his label on it, like it's close, like just around the corner. He sells my soaps there too, but also I thought it'd be fun to repurpose the coffee grinds that he would otherwise throw out. So I use that to make olive and coconut oil soaps, and I put them there. And it's really popular with people that are tradies and gardeners and stuff. Because it exfoliates the skin, like without it's probably, I find it harsh on my actual skin, right? But on their hands, it's really great. Like it cleans your hands incredibly well. I've got sensitive skin. Some people like the scrubbiness on their skin, but my skin will break out if there's anything too rough on it. But again, it comes down to skin type. Like everyone's different.
Yeah. And the benefit of them. Sorry.
No, go for it. Yeah. What were you saying?
The benefit is that you've got a circular economy happening with your cafe around the corner with the coffee grounds, but it will exfoliate but not strip their hands, which is really key.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that other soap they've stopped making, Solvol, would exfoliate, but it would strip their hands.
Oh, yeah. Cleansing, highly cleansing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I assume that would be your favourite bar to make, the lavender and oat. Is that also your most popular one? I think you mentioned. So it's your most popular and your favourite one. Yeah.
And no fragrance one, for some reason, sells.
Really well.
I don't know why.
I think sometimes you just like, and I do this too, like I'm guilty of it. I'll have my soap rack in the shower, and like most of them will be fragrance, but I'll always have one there that's unscented. And
Oh,
yeah, like every now and then, like I'll go through a phase with a week or 2 weeks, I'll use unscented. And then
yeah.
when I get a little bored, I'm like, oh, I feel like something scented now. But I always have an unscented one there, like, like it's nice to turn to when you don't, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's
Yeah.
just me. I don't know. It could be just me or.
It's I don't like a lot of people that I sell the no fragrance bar to. They have a lot of allergies and they can't have any essential oil.
I see.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. But because I thought, well, essential, they're all natural, but some people can't. So
some people still have allergies to, yeah. Like for me personally, I have allergies to rose geranium. Not to smell it. I can smell it, I'm fine. But when I use it on the skin and the soap, I just become incredibly itchy, and I start
wow.
itching. Yeah. And it's not that there's anything wrong with rose geranium. It's a beautiful essential oil. It's just everyone's got certain skin types and they don't react well with something. And I find another one I tend to get really itchy with is ylang ylang as well.
Oh.
Yeah, I can use it once, and then if I use it again the next day, I'll get itchy. Right, so I can only use it once a week or once a fortnight or something. Yeah. So just
and they're both floral.
They're both floral. Yeah, I seem to have react with floral, except for lavender. Lavender's an exception. Lavender is beautiful. It's soft. It's gentle. It doesn't really. I think even people with allergies, I find most of them, of course, not everyone. Again, everyone's different, but most people with allergies can still use lavender.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to harm them or anything. Yeah. It's a gentle oil. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
One of the things that I just thought of that I'd like to share is about from a small business point of view, being responsive to people and orders. Yes. I find that's really, really key. Like I've ordered different products, not soap, but other products from Australian companies, and there are some that I still haven't got, and I've ordered them a week and a half ago. And I think as a business owner, I don't want to criticise them, but as a business owner, my thing is if somebody orders it or something, that is my first priority to get that order out as soon as possible.
Yes, yeah.
Like I don't think in Australia we have the same, for example, customer service they do in the States, where they do same-day delivery sometimes.
Yeah.
They're very responsive, very quick.
Yeah, very quick, yeah.
Yeah, and that for me is something from a business point of view I want to do. Like I had an order yesterday from a lady that lives 700 metres away, and I thought she lives 700 metres. There is no reason why I shouldn't bust myself to get it there. And so I did. I thought, well, I want to be responsive, especially to my local community.
Yeah.
So I think word of mouth is very powerful as well.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Yeah, so I thought I'll elaborate a little more on what you said earlier about word of mouth. And I'm a big believer on, growing your business organically. And like and this is something I face too, and I want people to realise and understand what happens behind the scenes, that when you compare yourself to someone or even whether it's a commercial business or whether it's a small business like you, don't compare yourself to their following and stuff, because I find I was doing that at the beginning, and I like to grow my viewers and my people that buy my products organically, and I actually had more, like when you look at when they post and when I post, I have more engagement with my audience. You know what I mean? So like I would post something and I'll get 40, 30, 40, 50 likes, right? And then someone else with, 10,000 followers, because I've only got, at the moment, I think 520 or 530 on my Instagram. But I would get a really high engagement. But then when I look at someone else with 10,000 or 20,000 followers, they will have either the same amount of likes to me or a little bit more or even less, right? So and then I started to realize that I'm like, yeah, it's just better. Like word of mouth is a really great way of growing your business because people appreciate what you're doing and they get to know you more personally, and they're more likely to comment on stuff you post. They're more likely to message you through email or direct messages on, Instagram or Facebook. And I find that's really the best way to connect with your audience and your customers as well.
It's actually spot on because word of mouth is still more powerful than all the other technical ways.
Absolutely.
That's like what marketing people say, word of mouth is still stronger.
Yeah.
It's about community and connecting one-to-one with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's actually why I've started sending, or actually from the very beginning, the reason I got people to stock my product is because I gave them samples, free samples.
Yeah.
I said, try it. If you don't like it, then But if you like it, let's have a discussion. And because we know that handmade soap is so good, they've always wanted to have a discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm and of course for other people that are watching this, I think organic growth and word of mouth is just the best. So don't get so caught up into trying to pay for followers or trying to advertise too much. I've never advertised. I might have once or twice did an advertisement on Instagram, and I found that it didn't really do anything.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, it really didn't do anything. I just, found like, I'm going to show my face and I'm going to really put myself out there and connect with my audience. And, a really good way that I connected with my audience, as you know, the YouTube as well, starting YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's a way to kind of show people who you are and what you do. And I find that that is what really drove Dawn Organics, and people to come in and really engage with me, and even sending me emails and messages. Like I get, sometimes emails, thank you so much for, showing us how to make soap. And they might come from a, nation that is not as privileged as Australia. And they might have not a lot of disposable income or not in income at all. And, you would get emails, saying, you've helped me create an income for me and my family.
Wow.
Or, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So, and even though they're not, it's just, and this is the driving force behind why I am actually doing YouTube channels, because I realized that it's actually helping people. And I didn't think it was at the beginning. But it's the feedback that I've been getting. So, like, of course, for you as well, once you start to connect and start to show people who you are and what you do and how you do things, somewhere far away that you might not know, that might be in a tough situation or might not have income, would think, Delizia Naturally, from Australia, she, filters out all these cooking oils. Maybe I could go approach my local area and restaurants and cafes and see if I can take it, and butchers as well, like animal fats, whatever the case is, and they'll look more into it. But you inspired that thought process into someone far away from you, out of sight, out of mind, as they say. But you don't know who's going to watch this video right now when we're talking, and then they'll start following you, and then you'll start to be more comfortable showing your content and what you do, and then that would spark even more interest. It's like a domino effect. These things have a domino effect, and I do believe in karma threefold. So if you are, not expecting anything in return, but showing people what you're doing, it will come back threefold to you. So word of mouth, organic growth, and also inspiring others, I think.
That's actually really encouraging.
I think you should. That's great.
I've thus far been a bit kind of hesitant to do videos that show me doing it because I'm like, I don't really want to go on the camera and so I need to get over that and really, because what you're saying is right. It encourages other communities and other people in the world, and like, you know, one world, one community, I guess. The global village and all of that. That's what you're doing, which is, that's really encouraging. I need to kind of get over myself a bit, do more videos.
Look, I was the same. Like my first, I'd say, 10 videos, I didn't speak, I didn't show myself. It was all text on the top of the page and the bottom of the page, you know, like moving and as I do stuff. But as soon as I, like, you know what, no, I'm going to have to do my, you know, one video that I'll put my face out there. And doesn't matter where it is, Instagram or YouTube, doesn't matter. But it's my first video that I put my face, you know, it's reaching 5,000 views, and it's my most viewed video on YouTube. So, yeah, it really does build your brand up when you put your face and your personality to it. It really does. Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage you. I encourage you. You're your own worst critic. The only one that's going to criticize you is you, no one else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So don't worry about it. Yeah, and it's so unique what you're doing. That's the thing. It's so nice and unique, and it's a fresh perspective. I think it's great for you to do videos. It doesn't have to be like A grade, or, you know, you have to have all the bells and whistles and equipment. As you see, like even for me, like as I said, I drilled in a curtain rod in the wall, and my tablet's hanging off it. Like it's nothing special. You know what I mean? Like,
you know who I'm really jealous of with their videos is Ellie.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's really great at editing videos. Yeah, she's really, really great. I'm the first one to admit I'm pretty lazy, like with editing my videos and putting stuff out there. I'm getting better as time goes on. But some people have got the knack for it. Like Ellie's really good at editing and making things stand out. I'm not that great at it. I'm really good at soap making, like making the soaps look really great and pop out and stuff. But when it comes to marketing and editing videos, and I'm not. That's not my strong area. You know, it's not really mine. Yeah. Everyone's got their niche, and like can't be good at everything, right?
I mean, they come out okay. Like I watch them and go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay, and they're clear, and you know.
Yeah. So, as long as you get the point across, like it doesn't matter. Like I remember when I was chatting to Ellen Ruth. I don't know if you've seen that interview with Ellen Ruth, and she was quite skeptical of herself and her videos. She was saying, oh, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, my videos are a bit, you know, how you going? They're not that great. Like my editing skills aren't that good. Blah blah blah. And I said to her, I go, yeah, but I think that's why people fall in love with your videos, because you're not trying to be someone you're not. It's a raw footage you're showing. You're not trying to mask it and make it look like something it isn't. You are showing people this is how you do it, and this is Ellen Ruth. You know what I mean? And that's why people love watching Ellen Ruth. I love watching her videos. It's amazing. You know, even Ellie has said to me, "Oh, my editing skills aren't that good. Right? I'm not a very good editor." But to you and I, she's a fantastic editor. Like, you know. But again, Ellie knows because she's experienced. She goes, but you know, viewers appreciate, you know, what I'm showing and what I'm doing, so I'm okay with that. So I would say the same thing to you. Don't be critical. Don't be thinking, oh, I have to have all these things. You don't have to have all these things. Just use your phone.
Yeah.
You know, Catherine from Coconut Lugs.
Oh, I think I might have seen something.
Yeah. She does a lot of Instagram videos, right? And I really admire her courage. She puts everything raw on the table. Sometimes she has no makeup. Sometimes her hair's not done properly. And she even said in our interview, like what we did, I don't care. Like, that's just me. That's Catherine. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
I don't have to make it look like I'm someone I'm not. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And she's done such a fantastic job at building her Instagram community. I think she's got over 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
And that grew up to that amount because of her putting herself out there. Yeah. So it really does pay off. And you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not.
Yes.
Just show them, you know, and if you make mistakes, that's okay. I've made so many mistakes on camera. It's fine. Everyone does it, you know. So I would, really get it out there. Really start just showing, you know. showing what you do. I think it's magnificent what you're
Thanks,
doing.
heaps. Watch this space. I'm going to get more videos out there now. Thanks,
Sure,
George.
absolutely, and I'll be watching as well. And not to put pressure, but I enjoy watching like stuff like that. I'm always like going on to Catherine does a lot of lives, and as well from Coconut Lux, and I always jump on her lives just to relax. Like if it's the end of the day and she's doing a live, I'll just jump on and go, "Hey, Kathy, how you going?" And she was like, "Oh my God, George, welcome, thanks for joining." And I'll just sit there and watch and, relax because it's the end of the day. And that's what you want. You want people just at the end of the day to relax and just watch what you're doing, like your day to day. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's cool. Very cool.
Excellent. Right, so now we've know your favourite soaps to make and your favourite your most popular bars. What would be your favourite like additives, like botanicals or essential oils or anything else that you love using?
So all the botanicals, apart from the tea tree, I do myself. Oh no, the tea tree I did myself. Sorry, I just didn't grow it myself. But everything else, I source it locally and then blend it myself. So I've started using rosemary botanicals. Orange is from oranges I've eaten or my family has eaten, and we dry it and blend it.
Okay.
But my favourite, my favourite botanicals are probably, or ingredients to use are probably the orange, because I love the smell of the citrus going into the soap and the orange oil.
Yeah.
But I also love tea tree, the botanicals, which I was saying before is tricky to get, even though we have so many tea tree plantations in Australia.
Yeah.
To get the raw leaves is tricky.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so I got it from one of my brothers lives in Mount Warning, Northern Australia, and he was working on somebody's property who had tea tree and asked for the branches. Oh. And so then I was visiting at the time, this was before shutdown or lockdown, and so then I brought them home, dried them, and then blended them and then started putting them in the soap.
Yeah.
And because the tea tree probably pips orange at the post because it is very fragrant, even the leaves.
Yeah.
And the leaves have such a strong amount of oil that they're very cleansing.
Yeah, they're very. Yeah.
So in fact, I need to get the address of that farm because I'm going to send them up 2 samples of the soap.
Oh, right.
That has the tea.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's interesting.
Because I love using tea tree oil, but I really wanted to get the botanicals as well.
Yeah.
So that's and I'm looking for another soap on the market that does that, but I haven't found it yet. So that's kind of a bit of a joy for me to use the tea tree botanicals.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. It sounds excellent. I love botanicals as well. Like they're amazing. And I've just started. I mean, I do oil infusion as well with botanicals, and they're just. They're amazing. They're really, really great. I love botanicals. Like they just add that extra special, to the soap.
What's your favourite, George? Your favourite botanical?
I would have to say calendula and chamomile because I infuse the olive oil. I heat infuse. Some people do cold infusion. I do heat infusion and I make baby buzz out of it, baby soap buzz.
Oh, lovely.
So it's just a nice, soft, not overpowering because it's for babies. You don't want it to be irritating or overpowering. But it's just a nice, subtle, clean, fresh smell. And, just love it. Like it's
good.
That's my go-to bar. You know, the one I said I go to unscented? Like, it's still unscented. It's just been infused.
Yeah.
That's my go-to one I use. I find it really gentle. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, so what advice would you give, like, to soap makers that are starting out and especially that are wanting to start selling their products? What advice would you kind of give the new soap maker to be?
Something that I've learned is soap making, as we've said, can get a bit addictive and you can get a bit excited. And I think it's probably better to start simple
Yes,
with
absolutely. Yeah.
1 or 2 soaps, because then kind of seeing how they sell.
Yeah.
Just start with 1 or 2. Because I went, okay, I want to do no fragrance, I want to do lavender and oat, I want to do tea tree, I want to do orange, I want to do lemongrass, I want just too much, you know. So
absolutely, yeah.
I would say, and maybe so stick with 1 or 2, and then see if you can find a point of difference with those 1 or 2. With, like, for example, the tea tree botanicals.
Yeah,
that's probably something I can focus on because it's hard to get.
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So stick with 1 or 2, and then find a point of difference, I would say.
Yeah, and I have mentioned this in a previous video, but I would suggest that to start small and simple, because after about a year of doing organics, I got really excited and I introduced too many other products outside of soap to my range, and now I'm at a point where the demand's really increasing, and I'm actually removing products out of my range now, because I want to focus on what I love doing, and that's bar soap. I love bar soap. And don't overwhelm yourself, because it's very easy to burn yourself out with a small business. It's very easy to fall into the trap of 24/7 go, no rest. And you can burn yourself out, and it can affect your your sleep and your mental health and all these things. So it's important to work smart.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And to manage your time most efficiently, I guess. Yeah. Right, so we're coming to the end of our chat. Thank you very much, Delizia. I've enjoyed this chat thoroughly. Thank you very much for agreeing to be a part of the Soap Makers Lounge.
Thanks, Dawn. Dawn. Thanks, George.
Made you think of, I know Delizia is your name, but what made you come up with that particular name?
So I wanted to use my name so it was identifiable to me. And I just came up with, it was my sister-in-law, we were talking, and I said, look, it needs to be broad enough so that I can bring in and get rid of products, at the same time. So I don't want it to be a soap company, because I make moisturisers and lip balm and stuff.
Yes, I see. Right.
So we kind of brainstormed and just came up with Delizia Naturally, because I want it to be natural, and that's my name. And I thought, Delizia Naturally. So, and when people think my last name's Naturally, I'm like, yeah, you can think that, I don't mind.
Oh, my gosh.
Just like your first name's Dawn and your last name's Organics.
My name's Dawn Organics, yeah, sure.
But, thank you very much for this opportunity. This has been great, and thank you for kind of really encouraging a soap community to grow in Australia and abroad. It's really great, and encourages people to kind of make contact with you and get their story out. So, thank you.
No problem, anytime. And that's the intention behind it. I want people to grow and learn and come together, and especially in the times we've been facing the last 2 years, I think community is really important. Yeah, it
is. Important. Absolutely.
And we need some joy as well at the same time. Mm-hmm. We need to have a laugh.
Doesn't go astray, I reckon.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, thanks again for agreeing to be part of the Soap Makers Lounge, and I'm sure we will be chatting in the future again and keeping in contact. So you take care, and we shall chat very soon. And I'm sure the viewers would love to see this video as well. So thanks again.
Thanks, George. Bye.
No worries. See ya. Bye.